風頬根でゆく静寂に抗う赤子のように抱え込み離さなかったカゴはたやすく崩れ去る限られた時と狭間を行く塗りの取り示したロシの兆し月を背にした暗闇さえも愛しく思えるひび割れかけてく歪んだ人の届かない叫びをこの胸に抑えてかざした手のひらすり抜けてく思い出せもしない打ち捨てた体迷いの中漂いたどり着くのは途切れた
Hello everyone and welcome to, well, not really a new playthrough, but something that I'm re-recording, similar to with the Witch on the Holy Night video that I could not find the file for. I'm re-recording this, the beginning of this playthrough at least, because I have parts 4 through, I think, 12, which is how many parts I did of this. But for those of you who don't know, this is Karno Shoujo. Karno Shoujo is a murder mystery visual novel, and it has a lot of edgy stuff in there. There's a lot of gore, and there is a lot of nudity. There's also a lot of sex scenes. There's a lot of sex scenes that in my opinion, don't really belong in this. However, I want to put the entire playthrough back up, so I figured I would start recording or re-recording the first 3 parts of this, so I can put it all back up for you guys, because I know there were some people that enjoyed this. But yeah, so that's why I'm going to be re-recording the first 3 parts of this, because like I said, I don't know what happened to the first 3 parts for the playthrough in my that were on my hard drive, but I will just re-record it just because I want to put the entire playthrough back up. So anyways, after being awakened by his phone just before dawn and picked up by a Toyo Pet patrol car, Kyozo Oizumi finally arrives at Fuchu's Tama Cemetery. The cemetery is shrouded in deep fog. Dead branches snap underfoot as he makes his way inward. This is it? A group of officers are assembled there. Thanks for coming out here. Sure, what's the situation? He addresses the officer who had saluted him. Sir, late last night, a local resident noticed a fire in the area. He came to investigate and found this. Alright, where's the corpse? Too many of these disturbing cases have cropped up lately. It's too much for him to handle on his own, and he still hasn't found any leads on the dismemberment cases from the other day. Should I bring him in on this? A certain detective comes to mind, one who's always sticking his nose into cases like this. Tokisaka Reiji. This case is right up his alley. And that is going to be our main character for this, Tokisaka Reiji. The Egg of Neonis, Part 2. Katsuragi Shin. Oh, well that's a little bit strange. In exchange for a small black egg, she received a torso, left arm, right leg, and left leg. However, she still lacked a head. She surveyed her surroundings, but could not glimpse anyone else. This won't do. What am I to do? I can't complete Mother with this, she fretted. No matter whose head she obtained, it would not have her mother's face. Oh, Mother, where could your face be? She asked this of a large black egg. However, it did not answer. Oh, Mother, my mother inside of here. Could your face be within this shell? With that thought in mind, she could no longer wait. She put the large black egg on the ground and raised a large black stone aloft with both of her hands. "Halt! Thou must not break the shell." The words of her mother inside the egg did not reach the girl's ears. She swung the black rock downward. Crash! A clear sound rung out. Cracks appeared on the large black egg, scattering bits of shell. "Mother, where are you?" Whilst chipping away at the cracked shell, the girl peered inside. There was nothing within but a thick red fluid. "Where is my mother?" She thrust her hands into the red fluid and stirred it around, but her fingers did not grasp her mother's head. The red fluid inside the large black egg leaked out through the cracks in its shell. In an instant, the ground was stained red. Mother is spilling out." In a panic, the girl got down on her hands and knees, but most of the red fluid had already been absorbed by the earth beneath her. No, Mother!" With large teardrops spilling down her face, she cried out for her mother. But her mother would not come back. The girl cried until all tears left in her body had been cried out. In time, she stood up. She had no more tears left to cry. All that was left was the headless body of her mother and the shell of a broken black egg. "I've got to look for my mother." After murmuring that, she dug into the ground that had been stained red by what was formerly her mother, then buried both the large black egg shell and her headless mother's body. Her work done, the girl set out once more to find her mother. Yeah, that's going to be relevant later. When I was first reading this, I was like, so is that some kind of a Song 1, the 2-cent copper coin? Yeah, I was wondering if that was like some kind of weird, like it was alluding to some weird fantasy element in the visual novel, like there was some kind of other world or something like that, but that's not really the case. Also, this has a really good soundtrack. It's probably one of my favorite visual novel soundtracks, to be honest. Right now, I, Tokisaka Reiji, am at my office in Shinjuku. I'm waiting for a case summary while smoking and taking the occasional swig of Suntory whiskey. It was a simple case. A wealthy man was killed and his son was arrested. However, the guy insisted he was innocent. In order to prove it, I had to show that his old man had offed himself. That's all there was to it. After filling in the name of my client, the deceased man's son, I'm done with the paperwork. Phew. I relax, leaning back in my chair. Stubbing my cigarette out in the ashtray, I pull a fresh one from my case and light it. The smoke drifts toward the ceiling to be dispersed by the fan. Well, that's one more job out of the way. I get a nice little fee for this from my client. It looks like I won't have to worry about food for a while. Come to think of it, it feels like I've been working constantly since New Year's. A murder over an inheritance, a murder over a factory eviction, a murder over a dispute in the Red Line District. This world is just full of murders, isn't it? I exhale a lungful of smoke along with the words. It seems we live in pretty dangerous times. Well, I guess it's thanks to that fact that someone like me can make a living. After all, a detective's work thrives on the misfortune of others. I suppose it couldn't hurt to take a break for a while. Fortunately, I don't have any cases at the moment. Going home and getting some rest sounds good. If that's the plan, then there's no reason for me to stay here overnight. I quickly pick up my belongings and go outside. The Tokisaka Detective Agency is located near Shinjuku Station in a narrow alley behind the Iseten department store. The Shinjuku Blue Line district is nearby, so I can't exactly call it a nice area. I stick a brown piece of paper into the door bearing the words, "During my absence, I can be contacted here," followed by my home address. This way, there shouldn't be any problems if a client comes by while I'm out. Then again, whether any clients will come all the way to the outskirts of Suginami Ward after seeing the sign is another matter entirely. Burglars probably won't target an empty office, but if someone does break in, there's no reason for me to go track them down, I think. Looks like I've still got plenty of time. I mutter while glancing at my pocket watch. Normally I'd take the Seibu line to Kamishakuji, but today I'm going to make a little detour. I head away from Kinokuniya toward the Japan National Railway Shinjuku Station. Although it's gotten considerably warmer, the people on the street are all wearing coats. I weave my way through the crowd to the ticket counter. After buying a ticket for the Cho line to Kichijoji Station, I pass through the gate and board the train. So for those of you who don't know, this actually is I think the time period this takes place in is like post-World War II, so it's like late 1940s or something, or maybe late 40s, early 50s, if you didn't notice by the way everything looks. By the time I arrive at Kichijoji, it's already past 11. Leaving the station via the north exit, I cut through the shopping district, which still retains traces of black market roots, but before me lies my destination. My favorite coffee shop, a simple cafe, Moonworld. Their coffee and pastries are delicious. There are lots of cafes near my office in Shinjuku, but I frequently make the trek to this place. One of the reasons being that it's run by an old friend of mine. Sorry, we're closed for the night. Kyoko, it's me. Oh, Tokisaka-kun. Seeing my face, Hazuki Kyoko stops wiping the counter. Could I get a cup of coffee? Making one now will take a bit of time. Is that alright with you? Kyoko gestures towards the empty pot with a hand. If it's going to be a while, then a hot water Shoujo will be fine. Really? Well then, I suppose I'll have one too. Kyoko turns and takes a bottle of Shoujo off the shelf. Is it alright for you to be drinking? Well, we're already closed. Kyoko adds Shoujo to a pair of tumblers filled with hot water. The liquids mix inside the glasses. Here you go. Kyoko comes out from behind the counter and takes a glass. She starts to sit on the stool, but instead picks up an apron that was hanging off of it. Oh. She must have left us out. She? I asked, reacting to the resigned tone underlying her words. Yeah, I heard her recently. I told you about her before, right? Now that she mentions it, I don't remember whether she told me or not. She lives here too. She's in her room. Would you like me to get her? Nah, it's fine. It's pretty late anyway. I tilt the glass, and the mild Shoujo slides down my throat. Really? With that, she brings her own glass to her mouth. Whew. That's good. Well, it's certainly not your run-of-the-mill Kazutori. Of course not. It's proper barley Shoujo. I know. Seeing Kyoko puff out her cheeks in indignation, I try to soothe her. We don't really serve alcohol here, but I've got a nice selection all the same. I've noticed. Hey, are you drunk already? Lightweight. You're kidding. I wouldn't get drunk off of this much. Kyoko glances down at her glass as she speaks. There are times when I do want to get drunk, though. She sighs. Yeah. I nod in agreement. There are times when nothing else will do. Times when I just want to get drunk and forget about everything. A lot of things have happened to us in the past. Well, I'm busy right now, so I can't go that far. Kyoko suddenly acts cheerful, as if trying to shake off the memories. That's for the best, really. I didn't come here for a heart-to-heart. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just drink your problems away. How's work? Everything going well? Yeah. I solved the case, so it looks like I'll have a little free time. That's good to hear. If you work too hard, your body will give out, and then it's all over. You don't have to worry. That won't happen to me. I'd like to believe that. Kyoko's expression turns worried. I guess there's nothing I can do about that. Her husband passed away a while ago. You should really get some rest during your break. Yeah, I know. I drain the remaining Shoujo from the bottom of the glass, then stand up. I'm going home and sleeping. What do I owe you? I pull out my wallet as I ask. Today's drink is on the house. I had one too, after all. Don't worry, I just got paid, so I can afford it. Maybe I just felt like treating you. Is that so? Well then, I appreciate your generosity. Thanks. I'll come again. Good night. Sure. Good night, Tokisaka-kun. Yep, and that is one of the multiple women that you can get with in this game, because you can get with multiple women, but it's totally pointless, because when you do, you pretty much get a dead end. This game is one where your choices are very, very important. You pretty much need a walkthrough. That's how bad this is. There is a map, and there are choices you can make, and if you make the wrong choice, you'll end up with a dead end. And it is very, very, very easy to get that. So, like I said, a guide is required when playing this. In my playthrough of this, I actually had to use a guide for everything. When I played this the first time, when I wasn't recording it, of course, I didn't use a guide. I found out the hard way that you pretty much need one, and I just kind of, like, willy-nilly decided which girl, like, you know, there was a girl I wanted to get with, so I got with that girl, and it got me a dead end. So, every other choice is pretty much the wrong choice. Like, just think of it that way. There's pretty much only one correct choice. So it does have choices, and there are, like with the Fate Hall Atraxia playthrough, you can interact with an overworld, like, or, you know, with a map. And there are also kind of quote-unquote gameplay segments where we interact with a corpse during an investigation, like, you know, when we're investigating a crime scene. And that is also when you need to be very much paying attention, because if you miss something, that will also get you a dead end. So one thing you need to learn about this game is that you need to save very, very often. Kyoko sees me to the door. Looks like the trains aren't running anymore. Well, from here, walking home isn't too bad. Fortified by the warmth of the Shoujo, I force myself to walk into the chill of the street. I really, really love her. I love every single part of her. Her legs, her hips, her fingers, her neck, her eyes, her hair. She's perfection. The likes of me can never hope to reach her, no matter how hard I try. Even so, she had descended to stand here with me at this moment. The way she described that, she had descended to stand here with me, so she was like a god coming down from the heavens or something. There can be no doubt. She's here, right beside me. The wind feels great. Her voice is clear. I steal a glance at her profile. She's leaning on the fence surrounding the pond. Her long, glossy black hair flutters and dances in the wind. Her expression is almost like a doll's, and yet she has the beautiful face of a goddess, overflowing with the essence of life. Countless times I've been driven to the verge of stealing a kiss from that face, from those lips. I could never bring myself to do it. I wonder who could be talking right now. That's the biggest question on my mind. For one thing, I'm not a lesbian. Okay, well, we know it's a woman then. And neither is she. My greatest fear is incurring her displeasure. But, okay. But that's what I'm confused about, though. Like, if you're not, then why are you thinking about that? Like, you know, it's like if I don't really think about doing that with a guy, and I know I'm not gay because I don't think about those things. But hey, if you're having what could be considered homosexual thoughts and desires, and you're saying you're not a lesbian, it's like, how does that work? Of all people, I'd never want to be hated by her. I wouldn't care if every other person on Earth hated me. The truth is, I know that I'm despised around the academy. I'm a person of no particular note. I'm surrounded by a bunch of girls from good families who wouldn't bat an eye if they were addressed as mistress. The daughter of an impoverished pigment maker would never find herself in a position to speak on equivalent terms. Why am I in this place? I wonder that every day. I guess that might also be a clue as to who this person might be, because we are going to be introduced to multiple different characters later in this playthrough. But that changed after I met her. The reason I was there was so that I can meet her. Is something wrong? Her question interrupts my train of thought. Her voice is unmistakably a girl's, yet she speaks in the manner of a man. The incongruity makes her seem all the more feminine. No, nothing at all. I couldn't say that I was thinking about her. I really do want to, but I'm afraid that telling her will cause our relationship to crumble. Take a look. The moon's beautiful. She points to the sky, where a waning moon peers through a gap in the clouds. The moon reflected on the lake's surface. The way it sways from side to side is almost magical, don't you think? Yeah, it really is. I nod in agreement. To my eyes, her form is also part of the scene. The moon, the lake, and her. It is a tableau no artist could possibly recreate. And you are, as well. She holds my face in her hands. Okay, well, we already got revealed as to who this is. It's just a light touch from her, but my heartbeat quickens. Yes, indeed. Such beautiful eyes. And there is definitely some Yuri things going on here. Her face is right before my eyes. I can feel her breath on my lips. Your hair's gotten longer, too. It was a lot shorter when we first met. She twines my hair around her finger. I want to be like you. Did you know I started growing out my hair because I wanted to be like you? It was because I wanted to be closer to you. It was because I wanted you to take an interest in me, even if it was just a little bit. But my hair gets tangled, and it's so hard to maintain. Well, that's no good. Next time I'll give you some of my shampoo to try. Really? I stare at her face in disbelief. There's no reason for me to lie, right? She laughs, the corners of her eyes crinkling. When she does that, she looks like a mischievous little kitten. I want to hold her close. I want to hold her close to me and feel everything about her. I want to know more about her. It really sounds like she's in love with this girl, and yet she's trying to tell us that she's not gay. I think the lady doth protest too much. I guess it's about time we headed home. Sighing, she offers those parting words. My time of bliss ends here. Can we be together just a little while longer? I don't want to say farewell. I don't want to leave her. I want to enjoy our time together like this forever. Looks like I have no choice. Well then, I'll walk you home, my mistress. With those playful words, she takes my hand, bringing my fingertips lightly to her lips. And with that tiny gesture, I'm struck dumb with helplessness, unable to even look her in the eye. Okay, well, that was a weird scene. A lot of Yuri implications there. The thing is I don't think there's really any sort of Yuri romance with them, but it's very much implied. It seems that there's some kind of weird one-sided affection going on there with the other girl. Awakening from my slumber, I sit up on the futon and stretch. After I got home last night, I crawled into bed and fell asleep. I don't know whether my exhaustion is due to the stress of my daily life or simply walking home after drinking. Either way, it was a pleasant awakening. A glance at the pocket watch on my desk tells me it's not yet 8. Given that I have nothing to do, I'm perfectly happy to just laze around like this. Then I happen to notice a delicious smell wafting in from the kitchen. I suddenly realize that my stomach is empty. I wonder if breakfast's ready. As I kneel, raising my hand to slide open the screen to the living room, it opens on its own. Good morning, Nissan. Yeah, good morning, Yukari. My little sister Yukari gazes down at me. Will you be having breakfast? I'm pretty hungry. I answer honestly. You know, just like there's Yuri implications with those two girls, there's also some other weird implications with this, with Reiji's relationship with his sister here. I see. But before you eat, please get dressed properly. You went to sleep like that after you came home last night, didn't you? Hearing her tone, I take stock of my outfit, slacks and a dress shirt. I even have my shoes on. Hey, at least I took my tie off. Everything's full of wrinkles. I'm going to do laundry, so please take those off. Yukari reaches to unbutton my shirt. It's fine, I can do it on my own. There are a few things as embarrassing as having your little sister undress you. Yeah, that's a little bit strange. Like, we already kind of get a sense for how weird this is. Your clothes are over there. Yukari indicates the corner of my room, where she's carefully folded and placed my kimono. Leave the things you're wearing in the basket in the changing room. With that, she leaves. Good grief. Does she have no sense of modesty? She worries too much about me. Heaving a sigh, I start to change. By the time I enter the living room, now dressed in Japanese-style clothes, breakfast has already been laid out on the table. Steam rises from the sliced salmon and rice. It's still quite chilly, isn't it? I sit in a chair, huddled against the cold. Really? Yukari cocks her head at me as she brings out the miso soup. I think it's quite warm this morning. I guess it's because I went to sleep in that outfit. That may be the case. Shall I get out the cold medicine? Nah, it's not that bad. Let's eat. I take up my rice bowl to avoid worrying Yukari, who's giving me a distinctly maternal look. I really don't feel like I have a cold, and the chill is nothing serious. As I break the salmon up with my chopsticks, I turn the pages of the newspaper with my left hand. Nissan, we're in the middle of a meal. Yeah, that's right, it's bad manners to read the paper at the dining table. I'm almost finished, huh? A small article at the edge catches my eye. An article regarding a murder. It seems that a female corpse was discovered in Tama Cemetery. The report says they're working overtime to identify her, but still haven't confirmed anything. Disturbing, as usual. Yeah, that's gonna be what this whole game's gonna be like. Just a few days ago, another corpse was found in Inokashira Park. Yukari frowns, muttering. And some girls have even disappeared from the academy. You be careful, too. Yeah. These really are dangerous times. While I'm home, at least, it might be better if I saw Yukari off to school and greeted her when she came back. Her school, Oba Girls Academy, is next to the town of Hoya, a straight shot across Musashino City from our home in Suginami Ward. It's not an unwalkable distance, but American military officers have their residences along the way, so you can't exactly call it safe. By the way, Nissan, are you taking some time off from work? Yeah, unless something comes up, I'll be at home resting for the time being. I put up that notice on my place, so people who have business with me should come over here. If that's the case, then it looks like I won't have to go clean your office. Yeah, that's right. An image of the office pops into my head. I'm certain it's still clean. It didn't really look clean the last time we saw it. If you're going to be at home, then how about doing some housework? Oh, on second thought, never mind. Yukari stopped speaking halfway through for a reason. It's not that she subscribes to the old adage that chores are for women. She simply places no faith in me. If I could do housework, I'd clean my office in Shinjuku. Not that it's anything to brag about. Really, it's a godsend that Yukari is so responsible. So basically, if he didn't have her around, all his things, his office and his house would be really messy, I'm guessing. Thanks for the meal. I'm glad you enjoyed it. After we both bowed our heads, she stands up. Nissan, what are you going to do now? I'm going to hole up in the library. Alright, well I'll call you when lunch is ready. After saying that to me, Yukari picks up the dishes and heads to the kitchen. Well then, guess I'll get moving too. The Tokisaka were a family of historians, so my parents left behind an extensive library. Because of that, I've shut myself up in here to pore over books ever since I could read. I've amassed quite a bit of esoteric knowledge as a result, but in exchange, my vision has gone pretty weak. Even now, whenever I have spare time, I find myself in this room. Nissan, how about some coffee? Ah, thanks. Just leave it over there, please. I indicate that Yukari, who has just entered, should leave it on the table. There's some tea cakes as well. Enjoy. She leaves after setting down a plate filled with Western-style pastries. Now, I pick up a random book off the shelf, take a seat, and start turning the pages. Is it The Egg of Neonis? After lunch, I casually puff on a cigarette in the living room. Nissan, are you free right now? While cleaning up the silverware, Yukari asks me a question. Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm heading back to the library after this. What the hell is so important that you have to do in the library, dude? Which means you have free time, right? Yeah, that's pretty much what that means. Like, there's not really anything important he has to do there. Her tone leaving no room for argument, she holds out the bag for the coffee beans. A request from my brother, who looks like he has free time. Could you go buy some coffee beans for your little sister, who is swamped with housework at the moment? When she says it with that smile, how can I refuse? Are the beans from Moonworld fine? Yes, thank you. Her smile unchanging, Yukari plants a hand on my back and shoves me toward the door. Hey, hold it. Let me relax a little bit more. But Nissan, if I leave you be, then you'll never feel like going. So basically, she's just calling you a lazy bum. She's got me pegged, alright. All your thoughts are written on your face, so you're easy to predict. Yukari stuffs some money into my hand with a giggle. Now have a safe trip, Nissan. Sheesh. See you later. To Moonworld. After Yukari shows me to the door, I put on my coat and step outside. The air isn't so cold that I can see my breath, but it's plenty chilly all the same. I turn up my collar, hunch my shoulders, and start walking. It took about 30 minutes from my house. A relaxed pace has brought me to the station at Kichijoji. A while ago, as soon as I left in fact, I've sensed a strange presence behind me. I'm being tailed. Whoever they are, they're keeping a safe distance as they follow. I know they're there. They're hiding in the shadows of walls and in between pedestrians. Since I haven't turned around to confirm it, I don't know what kind of person it is. Guess I'll try to lose them. Moonworld is only a short distance away, but I really don't want my new friend to find out where I'm going. I'll go past the station and head for Inokashira Park. If I make a few circuits around that area, then sooner or later I should be able to shake them. Casually, so as to avoid suspicion, I push through the crowd of people and slip into the narrow alleys of the old black market. After winding my way through the warren of passages, I emerge at the park. It's Sunday, so the place is packed with families and pairs who look like couples. I can't sense that strange presence anymore. I think I've lost them. Just to be sure, I turn around, but see nothing out of the ordinary. Phew, oh man. There's nothing to be gained by tailing me. This wasted a lot of time. I'm tired after all the running, so I'll take a rest here. I go further into the park. There are fewer people here, and it's quieter. I come here now and again to take a load off. I find it easier to collect my thoughts in places like this, where it isn't so crowded. Of course, it's also a great place for a nap. Or it would be, if not for this March weather. Someone's here already? There's someone sitting on my favorite bench, the one with the great view. However, her long black hair sways gently in the breeze. A female student, I presume. She looks like she's wearing a uniform. It's white, with an unusual design, one that I recognize. It's from Oba Girls Academy, the same school Yukari attends. According to their strict regulations, she shouldn't be in a place like this by herself, but she turns around. Oh hey, it's that girl we saw earlier. Hi there. Her voice is soft and clear as the ringing of a bell. And you are? I don't think she's mistaken me for someone else. She's looking me right in the eye. That was one hell of a detour. Thanks to you, my legs are dead tired. Oh, is she the one tailing us? She raises her long, slender legs for me to see. So you were the one stalking me. Well, she's made that quite clear already, but I don't know why. What's it like? What's what like? The feeling a detective like you gets from being tailed. She's certainly nonchalant about this. How did you know I was a detective? I can't say I like hearing that from a girl I've never met. A detective's line of work depends on his not being noticed. If he's found out, then his job becomes all the more difficult. I followed you all the way from your house, Tokisaka-san. And she knows our name, too. Oh boy. Well, I guess that would explain why you know my name, but what does this girl want? I have no idea. Well then, how was I at shadowing? Awful, but good enough all the same. And I was so sure that I'd shaken her. She giggles and stands up. Moving as though her body weighs nothing at all, she turns to face me. Kuchiki Toko. Huh? That's my name. Having said that, the girl named Toko turns away. Kuchiki Toko, in a winter in which the trees decay. In some respects, a transient, ephemeral name. Why have I met this girl who has such a fragile-sounding name? You don't know when I'll die. The name makes me sound like I'll just crumble away and disappear, doesn't it? If that's not foreshadowing, I don't really know what is. No, that's not. I shake my head by reflex, but I can't hide that she's practically read my mind. It's alright. They say a person's name reflects their nature. It's a perfect name for me. I love that part of myself. Toko's words are like the ringing of a bell. Although her manner of speech doesn't befit a girl, her voice is unmistakably feminine. By the way, what exactly did you want with me? I forcibly steer the topic of the conversation back on track. If I let her lead things any further astray, well, I don't think I'll like where we end up. Why does anyone go to see a detective? I've got a job for you. She regards me with eyes full of mischief. If I had to describe her right now, I'd say she reminds me of a cat. Are you listening? Yeah, of course. At any rate, a request from a girl her age probably won't amount to much. I can kill some time with this. I want you to look for something. And what would that be? Me. My true self. Well, if that's not ambiguous, I mean, what's that supposed to mean? Hey, wait. Before I can deduce the meaning behind her words, she turns her back to me. Until next time, Tokisaka-san. Like a gust of wind, Toko departs. What the hell just happened? A girl says she wants me to look for her, then disappears. You can't be serious. She wasn't asking to play hide and seek, was she? Honestly, I just don't understand young women these days. I wonder if if he's actually going to take that request seriously. Since there's no point wasting time pondering over the girl's parting words, I decided to go back to Yukari's request. What? I'm abruptly greeted with a cute scream. I look down at my feet where the voice originated. Oh great. Panty shots. Ouch! A girl is sitting on the floor. Who are you? I've never seen her before. That is... welcome. She bows while still seated. Judging by the tray and glasses rolling around on the floor, she must have fallen around here. Are you okay? I apologize. I extend a hand and help her up. She gathers up the various scattered objects. Is something wrong? You must be the new employee. Now that I think back, I remember Kyoko mentioning her. Yes, my name is Amamiya Hatsune. It's very nice to meet you. Yeah, likewise. She bows so deeply that I find myself bowing in response. Here's your seat, sir. Thanks. After being seated at the counter, I finally take a breath. It seems like an entirely different place. I've never gotten this kind of service from you before. You're a special case, Tokisaka-kun. I take proper care of the other customers. Kyoko glowers at me from behind the counter. Other customers? I crane my neck to survey the surroundings. Nobody around except for Hatsune, who's busy cleaning. It just happens to be empty right now. Alright, I get it. If it were always like this, she wouldn't be able to hire a new employee, no matter how much her acquaintances pestered her. Is coffee fine? Yeah, some beans too, please. Oh, Yukari-chan sent you to run errands? Kyoko laughs as she brings out the jar of coffee beans. You know, I got some nice Brazil bourbon beans today. Aren't those expensive? I remember hearing something to that effect. But so delicious. Ignoring my words, Kyoko starts weighing out the dark beans. Please make them cheaper for me. Her hand stops. She was gonna upcharge you on them. Well then, I'll give you a bit less, and a discount besides. Oh, she's being ultra nice about this then. Thanks, that helps. It's gotta be better than cheap bitter beans. So you're tight with your finances when you're on a break from detective work? No, that's not what I mean. You're a detective? My sentence is interrupted by a yelp from Hatsune behind me. Hatsune-chan, aren't you being rude to the customer? Although in Tokisaka-kun's case, it's fine. Yeah, he's an exception. Be rude to him. Kyoko just scolded Hatsune, I think. Sort of. I'm sorry. Are detectives really so rare? I direct this to Hatsune, who looks like she's trying her best to disappear. No, that's not it. A detective from Ueno helped me out once. Ueno? That guy, huh? It might just be a coincidence, but I happen to know a detective who's based in Ueno. He taught me a lot of things. A lot of things. I can picture plenty of things, but none of them are good. Well, if you guys saw my, the playthrough of a visual novel called Cartagra that I uploaded a while back, this character is actually from that game. But the game is a little bit of a, I guess you'd say kind of like a prequel in a way, to this game. It takes place in the same world, but it doesn't really involve Reiji. It involves another character and this girl, so that's where they're from. But you'll see the other character later on. If it's the guy I'm thinking of, it's entirely possible. He taught me how to write. Hatsune seems to blush faintly. I see, so that's what it was. Is teaching her how to write some kind of, innuendo for something else. No, I know this guy. He wouldn't do anything like that for free. That's not true at all. He was really kind to me. Hatsune completely missed my joke. Is that the part of him you fell in love with? Fell in love? That's not it. Tokisaka-kun, you shouldn't tease her so much. Seeing that Hatsune is staring at the floor, Kyoko comes to her rescue. I hadn't really intended to go that far, so this gives me a good opportunity to end the conversation. She's a bit sheltered, you see. Not you too, Kyoko-san. Jeez. Hatsune turns away, puffing out her cheeks in a mock pout. Even so, she's an acquaintance of his, is she? Where did you meet that guy? He was renting a room at the store I used to work at. Store? Let's see, the store in Ueno where that guy always stirred up trouble. I'm certain it was Yukishiro, in the red light district. Tokisaka-kun. Kyoko's hands clamp down on my arm. I realize I've gone too far. Hatsune's shameful expression crumples even further. I see. So she was... I was a prostitute. Yeah. Red light districts usually don't have the most reputable places. She lifts her head and looks me straight in the eye. But you see, Tokisaka-kun, she only helped out. She never actually did any... Kyoko speaks up for Hatsune, clasping the girl's shoulders. Even with her resolute expression, Hatsune still looks like she might burst into tears at any moment. I lay my hand gently on her head. You've been brought up by some fine people. Huh? I can tell just by looking in your eyes. No matter what job you have, you do it with pride, right? That's something you learn from the people around you. Working in the red light district can't be easy, even if you're not offering any services. I can sense the indomitable spirit that kept her going through that. Right, even after those grisly murders. Hey, how should I say this? The mistress there. Ujak-sama. Her voice is a quiet whisper. Right, Ujak-san. I really owe her a lot. Of course, it was for her knowledge on the underworld. I didn't partake of her other wares. After what happened 5 years ago, I haven't had any word from her. After the Yukishiro closed, Ujak-sama adopted me as a foster daughter. I see. That's why you're Amamiya. I don't know the mistress's real name, but I can at least guess that it has the character for Rain in it from Mojaku. Yes, right now she is my stepmother. Looks like you met a wonderful person. After giving her head a final pat, I suddenly feel intensely awkward and pick up my cup from the counter. The coffee's gone tepid. Thank you, Tokisaka-kun. Kyoko whispers softly into my ear. Hey, we get some ASMR. I didn't do anything. Honestly, I went too far. All I did was showing you guys a detective's nature. But Hatsune is the one who really deserves an apology. I face her. Our eyes meet. I'm going back to cleaning. At last, Hatsune breaks eye contact and turns away, tossing her shoulder-length hair. Oh my, it looks like Hatsune-chan's embarrassed. A wry smile on her face, Kyoko tops off my cup with hot coffee. As I return home from Moonworld, the sun is already starting to set in the western sky. It's freezing. That's March weather for you. Near sunset, the temperature suddenly drops. Huddling for warmth, I quickly enter the house. At the door is a pair of ridiculously oversized shoes, so I expect something is up. I didn't know whether anyone would come here after reading the note I left at my office, but it looks like someone actually did. Be that as it may, this is way too soon. Hey, Reggie. Sorry to intrude. No, you're not. The man on my sofa sets down the coffee he's been sipping and turns to greet me. What the hell are you doing here, Oizumi? Oizumi Kyozo is an old friend. We worked together at the same place in the past. I quit, but the guy still works there. In other words, he's an active duty police officer. I came to say hello, since you weren't at your office. I had to go all the way through Nishioga Kubo to get here, you bastard. It isn't that much further than Shinjuku. Besides, don't you hang out at Kichijoji around the clock anyway? I take a seat on the sofa, waving off his complaint. Welcome back, Nissan. As Yukari enters from the kitchen, I hand her the bag of coffee. Why'd you let this guy into the house? It's cold. I couldn't very well make him wait outside, could I? Yukari sets a steaming cup of coffee in front of me. Besides, Oizumi-san's here for business. You should listen to what he has to say. You got some good manners, unlike your older brother. Oh, shut up. Well, what have you got? I bring the coffee to my mouth and face him. He's not the sort who'd come all the way over here without some important business. It's gotta be some pain-in-the-ass waste of time, right? Well, I'll at least hear you out, so start talking. It's right up your alley. I'll leave you two alone. Sensing the change in the atmosphere, Yukari bows to Oizumi and leaves the living room. A few days ago, a dismembered female corpse was discovered in Inokashira Park. Right up my alley, he says. I place a cigarette between my lips and light it. Oizumi follows my lead. And there's one more thing. My hand freezes in the midst of handing him a match. The day before yesterday, another female corpse was discovered at Tama Cemetery in Shoujo. Any connection? I don't hesitate. None. The MO was completely different. Oizumi finally lights a cigarette. The corpse at Inokashira Park had everything but the torso, both arms and legs, as well as the head. The one at Tama Cemetery was pretty much whole, but the method of disposal was bizarre, to say the least. How so? Curiosity's got my blood pumping. He's told me this, fully aware of what makes me tick. Knowing each other for such a long time isn't always a good thing. It was buried in the graveyard. That in itself isn't so unusual, but one of the feet had been lit on fire. The burning cigarette crackles quietly. Do you suppose it's an allusion to something? I knew you'd take the bait. Oizumi chuckles. Well, as of now, we still don't know anything. Also, that's right, I recall her left arm was amputated as well. Just one? Yeah. It wasn't found in the vicinity. I stub out my cigarette and fold my arms. 2 murder cases. It'd be unreasonable to conclude that it's a serial murder at this point. In order to prove that, they'd have to narrow the scope of the investigation, which would be impossible. I want to leave you in charge of the Tama Cemetery case. I'm pretty short-handed here. Hold on, Oizumi. I haven't said whether I'm going to take it or not. But you are, aren't you? Oizumi interrupts me. You've already agreed even without knowing it. You can't possibly refuse after hearing about a murder. That's not true. I deny it unconvincingly. I have no intention of refusing. Inside my head, I'm already thinking about how to proceed with the investigation. We'll start tomorrow. I'm counting on you. Right. Nevertheless, it's been a while since the last ghastly case like this. My interest stems from a case that happened 6 years ago now. That time, I wasn't able to catch the killer in the end. This time, I'll get him. For the victim's sake, and for the sake of the people left behind. Once I've chased Oizumi out, I have dinner with Yukari, then retire to my room. I have a cigarette while warming myself by the hibachi. My thoughts are buzzing with the details of our conversation. 1 foot lit on fire, huh? If it's supposed to be a copycat murder, then what's the deeper meaning? There's no idiom for lighting one's foot on fire. The closest we have is light a fire under one's feet. It means something along the lines of danger is approaching. Well, there's a big difference between foot and underfoot. Since I don't have all the details, I don't know exactly how the leg was burned. The meaning may lie behind the method used. I should try looking at this from a different perspective. The corpse discovered at Tama Cemetery had its left arm amputated. Why? If they didn't want her fingerprints to be collected, then they would have cut off both arms. So why only one? Could there have been some important characteristic on the victim's left arm? A tattoo, for instance, or... Nah, that only happens in detective stories. The arms must hold some significance for the killer, but with the little information we have, it's impossible to tell what it is. I'll move on to the other case, the dismemberment. This one's probably a little simpler, both arms, both legs, and the head. Relatively speaking, they're easy parts to transport. It's likely that after the victim was murdered, the killer's next step was to dismember and dispose of the body. The torso may still be lying out there somewhere, discarded. In order to commit such a crime, the perpetrator must have a composed, analytical mind. I can infer that much from what I already know, but given my lack of information, there's little point in speculating further. At the very least, we can start investigating the people related to her if we can learn the victim's identity. Right now, we can't even guess at the motive. It all begins tomorrow. Looks like I'm back to living at my office in Shinjuku, starting tomorrow. But before that, a bath. My office doesn't have one for obvious reasons, so the only place I can get a good hot soak is at home. Well, there are a number of soap lands near my office, but Draping a towel over my shoulders, I stand up. Even so, for these two incidents to occur in such close proximity, is it the work of a single murderer, or mere coincidence? The two crime scenes are roughly 5 kilometers apart, as the crow flies. If there's only one particular, then both scenes should be within his range of movement. However, there's no way they could get around carrying a body. The suspect would have to own a car. These days, that could be anybody. I haven't narrowed down the suspect list at all. No good. It's time for a bath. And we walk in on our sister, bathing. Huh? Oh, great. I probably can't show this on YouTube. Nissan. Sorry. I think it'll be pretty cramped if we both get in together. Oh my god, why are you thinking of that? See, this is why I think there's some weird stuff going on between them, or at least some weird implications. No, my dear sister, the problem here is an entirely different matter. I can wash your back at least. How does that sound? Nah, I'll pass. Tell me when you're done with your bath. Yukari cocks her head at me doubtfully. I turn away and leave the changing room. Well, at least he's not trying to engage in anything weird. Sheesh, I don't know if I'd call that composure or something else. I return, or rather flee, to the living room, then flop onto the sofa. Normally, she's pretty straight-laced, but from time to time. This really worries me. I wish she were a little more reserved about this sort of thing. After a while, Yukari gets out, and we switch places in the bath. Shall I wash your back for you, Nissan? I said it's fine. Go warm up before you catch cold. Seriously, I'll never get used to this. Never get used to the, Yukari trying to have some weird relations with you. After my bath, I sit facing the hibachi in my room. What a day. I grab the pack of cigarettes off my desk and stick one in my mouth. I toss the lit match into the hibachi. Phew. I sigh, exhaling smoke. There's more in my mind than just the job I accepted from Moizumi. My weird sister. No, it's not Yukari's naked body. Yeah, I don't know why you'd be thinking about that. It's the mysterious girl I met this morning in the park. Should I think of this as simply another job? Find her true self, huh? Perception of oneself. That has something to do with psychology, right? If that's the case, there's not a lot a detective like me can do. She should go consult some well-known shrink or doctor. Well, I suppose it's a pretty natural concern for someone her age. Nissan, I'm going to bed soon. The screen slides open and Yukari pokes her head inside. Okay. Good night, Yukari. I'll look up and answer her. I briefly considered asking about the girl from this morning, but thought better of it. It looks like they attend the same school, so she might know something. However, now doesn't feel like the right time to bring it up. Instead, I ask her about something else. Hey, Yukari, what would you think if someone asked you to find their true self? Is that a riddle? Let's see. Yukari's expression softens. The intent may be to state that the person they are now is not their true self. Right now, they're dissatisfied with their current self, and believe that their true happy self exists somewhere. Oh, that's a surprisingly deep interpretation of it. Yukari's gaze turns toward the ceiling as she answers. If it's a riddle, then the answer should be simpler. No, that helped a great deal. Thanks, and good night. If I was able to help, then I'm glad. Good night, Nissan. Yukari leaves, a smile on her face. Well, she's probably kind of right about her interpretation, too. Unhappy with her current self, huh? At first glance, I didn't think the girl who called herself Kuchiki Toko seemed particularly depressed. Of course, we didn't exactly have a deep conversation, so I don't know how accurate my impression is. There's got to be something. Something deep within that cat-like girl's heart. And the investigation begins. When I head into the living room the next morning, the table has already been set for breakfast. I guess Yukari's prepared it for me. There's a piece of paper wedged under the plate of sunny-side-up eggs. It's a note written in neat brushstrokes. After you eat, please go to work. I will prepare dinner, Yukari. Using calligraphy for a note to her brother, as refined as ever. It looks like she's already left. Students have it pretty rough, since they have to get going so early. Well then, I guess I'll eat and return to my office. The crime scene is in Fuchu, so going there directly from here would be faster, but I need to pick up my investigation notebook. With any luck, I can get Oizumi to meet me there. If he brings a car, it'll make getting around a lot easier. Well then, let's get going. I take a final swallow of cold miso soup, stand up, and set out. After taking the Seibu line to Shinjuku, I walk along Yasukuni Street to my office. One day later, my workplace is still pristine. Well, that's a given. Well, it actually looks better than when we first saw it. I open my desk drawer and take out the notebook. This has seen me through many cases over the years. In here, I take notes about information and people of interest. Better still, it has a map. I may as well fill in what I've learned up until now. I sit at the chair and start writing. I guess that's about it. Just as I look up from my work, the silhouette of a man with a large build appears behind the glass door. Hey, you Reggie. As I thought, it's Oizumi. I'm already here. Shall we go check out the crime scene? Sticking the notebook in my pocket, I stand up. Yeah, though I should warn you, 3 days have already passed, so I doubt there will be much left at this point. Even so, we might find something. As I admonish Oizumi, we step outside. From here, we should take the Cho line to Musashi Sakai, and then that's from the Tamigawa line to Tama Cemetery. Now wait just a minute, Oizumi. I stop him from leaving and look around. Didn't you come here in a patrol car? There aren't any cars parked nearby. Seems it wasn't that long ago that you were bragging to me about the Force's new Toyo pets. You idiot! I can't just take one for a joyride when there's no emergency. I'll pay you for tickets, so let's get a move on. Alright. Slumping my shoulders, I follow after Oizumi to Shinjuku Station. I'd been hoping to ride in the new car, but on second thought, I'd rather not look like a criminal that's getting carted around. Good afternoon, Detective. Yeah, afternoon. After greeting the waiting officer, we walk to the crime scene. So this is the place? The graveyard is dead quiet. It's cold, but not due to the seasonal weather. It's a palpable sensation, almost as if the atmosphere itself has become chilled. That's generally the case for murder scenes. In this era of science, I don't believe in ghosts and the like, but even so, there's something off about this place. Well, go take a look. Hold up. What in particular am I looking for? Just investigate anything that catches your attention. Then, could you give me a little breathing room? I push Oizumi's towering frame aside and survey the scene of the crime. Nothing stands out at this distance. If I'm going to investigate more closely, it'll have to be centered around one place. Okay, well, now we can finally investigate. I am going to consult a guide for this. Okay, so I think we want to check over here. The vicinity is choked with fog. Even under normal circumstances, you couldn't call this a comfortable place. The occasional cawing of crows doesn't help matters. Did you get a statement from the first person on the scene? Yeah, the guy who found it was an old man who lives nearby. It seems he noticed something burning in the graveyard around midnight. He said he thought it was a will-o'-wisp at first. It's not the right season for those, is it? If it were summertime, I'm sure it'd just end up as one of those memorable late-night experiences while escaping the heat. Whatever the case, the corpse he found was real enough, and although he called us immediately, it seems like he didn't notice anyone suspicious in the area at the time. Okay, so we checked over here. Maybe check the hole? There's a discolored area where the ground has been dug up. They didn't dig very deep, approximately 20 centimeters, give or take. Okay. Oh yeah, I think it was within the cemetery, maybe? Did he hear any sounds, screams, anything? It appears that's also a negative. Apparently a bunch of cars passed by, but they were just driving along the main road, nothing out of the ordinary. So in other words, we can't rule out that they came by car. It'd be nice if we could at least confirm whether a car passed through the graveyard late at night. Could you look into that for me? Just don't get your hopes up. Alright, so we checked the hole. We looked over here and then we checked there. Was the corpse buried here? Yeah, they laid her face down, and only the knee was bent and the foot sticking out of the ground. That's where they lit the fire. You got something? Don't be impatient. I'll take my time and think it over afterward. Also, were there any footprints left over in the vicinity? I point to the ground around the disturbed area. None were found at the time the corpse was discovered. The ground appears to have been carefully smoothed over. I see. I think that's all we can get from here. Oizumi gives instructions to a nearby officer. Well then, let's think over what we've discovered here. And now the inference part, which is where we're going to look over the evidence we have and make conclusions. Although we're thinking things over, I'm still missing a lot of crucial information. Will they be able to make an arrest with only a rough criminal profile? Let's start off by thinking about the evidence left at the crime scene. The only lead I've found thus far is... I open my notebook. We have multiple different things that we can select here, but I'm going to, again, look at the guide here because I'm trying to be very fucking careful. Okay, it was the Thomas Cemetery corpse crime scene status. That's right, the dug-up patch of earth. It's much too shallow to serve as a grave. It looks like they just laid the body down and covered it with dirt. It's difficult to believe that the killer actually expected to hide it. Judging by the way the body was discovered, that was never the intention. Could you lend me a shovel for a moment? I ask a nearby officer. Sir, here you go. Thanks. Here you go, sir. I take the shovel and thrust it into the ground near the crime scene. Whoa there, Reggie. Don't disturb the scene too much. I know. Shrugging off his warning, I start to dig into the ground. The earth isn't particularly hard, and digging is easy. To dig a hole 20 centimeters deep would probably take around 10 minutes. Did they lack time, or simply the physical strength? I stopped to think. However, if they were short on time, it would make no sense for them to come all the way out here to dig a hole and hide the body. If the killer was weak, then why bother digging a hole? A suspicion is taking shape in my mind. Okay, and now I think we want to select the Thomas Cemetery corpse status. That's right. Their intention wasn't to hide the body, but rather to set fire to the foot. They probably dug the hole in order to get the leg upright. A leg projecting backward, just like in that movie. But that was in a lake, right? I'm really wondering what movie he's referring to. The Riddle of the Inagumi clan, right? I'm fairly certain that was a story about copycat murders. If this is also a copycat murder, then what on earth are they copying? From what the guy who found her told us, it was almost like a candle or torch. A candle, huh? Since I didn't actually see the crime scene under those circumstances, I can't even picture it. A dazzling burning leg in the middle of a dark graveyard. It might be some kind of religious ceremony. At this stage, the more I think about it, the less I understand what's going on. I need more information. Oizumi, has an autopsy been performed on the body? We'll know the judicial autopsy and forensics results tomorrow. That's right, you can come to Takedo Baba tomorrow as well. Oizumi slips an arm around my shoulder, acting like he's had a brilliant idea. Takedo Baba? You mean that place? As far as I know, there's only one person that does autopsies in Takedo Baba. She's quite the troublemaker, for a doctor. There wasn't anybody else? I don't have the authority to decide which medical examiner we use. Deal with it. Oizumi smirks boldly. Yeah, I know who he's talking about, too. His face betrays his happiness at roping me into going along. Well, we'll leave the rest for tomorrow, then. For today, we'll end the investigation here. Sure. See you tomorrow. By the time I reach Kichijoji Station after parting ways with Oizumi, it's already evening. Well then, what shall I do now? Going straight home would be fine, but there's no reason not to drop by somewhere. And here's where we have the option to actually go places. We can go different places on the map, as we have a map, much like in Hollow Atraxia. There's a map. There's also a map in this game. So where should we go on the map? So it says that we should go to Moon World after this. That is where we shall go. Because unlike in Fate Hollow Atraxia, it actually makes a big difference where we go in this game. Any insignificant choice is actually significant. I've arrived at Moonworld. This is the perfect place to kill time. It's close to home, and I only have to take one train to get here from my office in Shinjuku. Plus, the coffee is delicious. Welcome. Oh, Tokisaka-san. Evening, Amamiya-san. I offer a jovial greeting and head inside. I sit at my usual stool at the counter. Huh? Where's Kyoko? She's not behind the counter. Kyoko-san is out making a delivery for the catering service. Oh, you mean she didn't send you, Amamiya-san? Well, I'm not really familiar with this area yet. If it was close by, that'd be different, but... This area's roads are a labyrinth. It'd probably be a good idea for you to go for walks and try to memorize them at the same time. Sure. Hatsune nods energetically. Well, well, aren't you two getting along nicely? Ara. Yeah, Kyoko is pretty much MILF status. Ah, Kyoko-san, welcome back. Back from her delivery, Kyoko heads behind the counter, a wry smile on her face. What's the matter? Jealous? That's right, it looks like you're going to steal Hatsune-chan away from me, Tokisaka-kun. Kyoko-san? I'm just kidding. Joking around is fun and all, but could someone please make me a cup of coffee? Isn't that what you guys are here for? Oh, sorry about that. At last, Kyoko starts preparing the requested coffee. Phew, now the cafe is finally back to normal. At any rate, that scoundrel Oizumi brought me quite the difficult job. I know he warned me that it was a bizarre case, but I still can't see the killer's motive. What's the meaning behind setting the foot on fire? What's the meaning behind only removing the left arm? How is it related to the other case? Are these murders going to continue in the future? Oh, forget it. We don't have enough information, so there's no reason for me to rack my brains about it. A cup is set before my eyes. Here you go, Tokisaka-kun. Thanks. I bring the cup of steaming coffee to my mouth. There's a sour yet bitter taste as it slides down my throat. I guess I should try to change things up once in a while. I reach for the sugar jar. Opening the lid, I look inside, but it's empty. How do you guys have an empty sugar jar? Looks like it's time for a refill. Yeah, we should call for Hatsune. That's what the guide tells me. I'm Amiya-san. Might I ask for a refill of sugar, please? I turn around and call for Hatsune, who's cleaning inside the cafe. As insignificant as that might seem, it's actually really important that we called out for Hatsune in that moment. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll bring it over right away. I listen to the rapid pitter-patter of Hatsune's feet as she dashes to the table and returns with a jar of sugar. Thanks for waiting. Here you go. Thanks. I take the sugar jar and mix a few spoonfuls into my coffee. Do you have a sweet tooth? Hatsune observes my actions with interest. Nah, I'm just tired today. I feel like having something sweet. Man, how does Reiji get any sleep when he's having fucking coffee like this? As someone with somewhat of a coffee addiction and someone who's trying to drink less of it specifically because of trouble sleeping, I don't know how he manages, honestly. I certainly don't consume sugar in vast quantities like Oizumi, whose sweet tooth defies description. In his case, 5 tablespoons is par for the course. Is it really hectic being a detective? Hatsune cocks her head slightly as she asks this. That's generally the case. However, when I don't have any clients, it's just free time. Though I don't have any income then either. That's pretty tough. Well, only idiots and twisted people can do this job. If you were to sort them out, I'd be one of the twisted ones, and the detectives that you're acquainted with would represent the idiots. Well, you guys have a lot in common, you know. Please don't lump me together with that guy. At least grant me that one small mercy. See, that's what I'm talking about. Hatsune laughs. Sheesh. Well, that's just plain unfair. Okay, and from Moonworld, we should go to, okay, we should have gone here first, but I guess maybe the order doesn't matter. I'm hoping the order doesn't matter at least. I've arrived at Inokashira Park. It feels a bit cooler than it did this afternoon, but the temperature is still mild. It seems like spring is drawing closer. I decide to take a leisurely stroll through the park. But when I draw close to the pond... Yukari? For some reason, Yukari's on the bank, straining to touch the surface of the water. Whoa, what is she doing? She could fall in at any moment. This is dangerous. I don't think we should watch what happens. Call out to her. What are you doing, Yukari? Nissan, please give me a hand. Yukari turns her face to me, looking like she's on the verge of tears. What's wrong? I approach her and take a look. The koi are thrashing about below the surface, sticking their faces out. Koi? Was she feeding them? They're drowning. Look at how they're gasping for air. Are you serious? Hey, look, Yukari. That doesn't mean they're drowning, you know. But they look like they're in such pain. They're gathered because you had your hands out, so they thought you were going to feed them. Oh, so that's what it was. I'm sorry, everyone, but I'm afraid I don't have anything edible with me. And she's pretty airheaded at times. Yukari speaks in the direction of the koi. Well, that's fine. Honestly, if it's not one of your interests, you're completely helpless, aren't you? If it's about etymology, then it's no problem. Like how water strides down in soapy water, or... I don't know if I'll ever understand this sister of mine. Yep, she's definitely an eccentric. I'm home. The lights are on inside, so it looks like Yukari's already back. There are shoes by the entrance. I'd best be prepared. I've been wondering whether someone would come here thanks to the note on my office door, and it looks like someone actually has. Let's see what we're dealing with. Who might you be? There's a stranger seated in the living room. He's a calm, reserved man, probably somewhere in his 50s. You can tell at a glance he's not a burglar. Yukari may be odd, but she still wouldn't serve coffee to an intruder. Good evening. You're Tokisaka Reiji-san, correct? My name is Saiki. I'm the vice principal at Owa Girls Academy. He stands to greet me. Owa Girls Academy? That's the one Yukari attends. Why is the vice principal here in our house? Yukari isn't in some kind of trouble, is she? Please don't jump to conclusions, Nissan. Yukari emerges from the kitchen. Tokisaka-san is a model student. She gets along well with everyone, even her fellow club members. Saiki-sensei has come to offer you a job, it seems. A job? That's correct. I heard that Tokisaka-san's older brother was in the detective business. That being the case, it seemed appropriate that I avail myself of your services. Saiki's eyes are grave. I suppose I should at least hear what he has to say. Simple requests can sometimes be solved with just a bit of advice. On the other hand, if it's a difficult case, I'll steer him toward that other detective in Ueno. I don't want to betray this man's expectations after he's put his faith in me. What manner of business might this be? As I show Saiki to the sofa, I also sit down. Yukari watches from a short distance away, her face drawn with worry. It's regarding the academy. Since the beginning of this year, 2 of our students have disappeared in succession. Disappeared. First, in mid-January, a student named Nishizono Yui went missing, and then, just 2 weeks ago, another, Imamura Haruka, also disappeared. Saiki explains the circumstances with frankness. Did you contact the police? Of course I did. However, there hasn't been any progress to speak of. That's why I've come here. I see. I bet the police are struggling. A missing person can mean many things. Disappearance, kidnapping, suicide, homicide, accident. In all those cases, without any eyewitnesses, there's no way to collect information. It pains me to admit this, but since our school is very concerned with the image it projects, we took no action until the second person, Imamura-san, went missing. Saiki bows his head. Don't apologize to me. The ones you should be speaking to are the missing students' families. Yes, I'm well aware. Saiki's voice is a soft whisper. Looks like the stress and guilt are taking their toll on him. 2 missing persons, huh? Wait a minute. Right now, I'm involved in another case that involves a murder. 2 unidentified female corpses have been discovered. It couldn't be. We still don't know. Not yet. I shake my head at Saiki, who's leaning forward intently. But we can't count out the possibility. Saiki-sensei, I will accept your request. If his case coincides with the Uezumi's, then it will make my investigation easier. Even with the delicate matter of human lives in the balance, I need to plan my approach with care. Thank you very much. If you would hear me out, I do have one additional request for you. What might that be? I'll be frank. In order to prevent any more students from becoming victims, I'd like you to do some investigating inside the academy. I don't see where you're going with this. To avoid worrying the student body, I want you to infiltrate the school as a temporary instructor. A temporary instructor? What does he mean by that? I'm told that you are fairly knowledgeable regarding world history. That's why I'd like for you to conduct your investigation under the guise of a history teacher to avoid standing out too much. But that's going to be tough. The place where 2 girls have gone missing, even if it's related to my current case, being confined to one location is liable to hamper my other investigations. Nissan, it would be a favor to me as well. Yukari interjects from the sidelines, interrupting my thoughts. It's alright. Don't you worry. I didn't say I wasn't going to accept. I turn and face Saiki. Is there someone amongst the faculty that has a good grasp on the conduct and mentality of the students? Will the school nurse do? Yes, that's fine. I may have a lot to ask of this person, so could you please give them the details of my job? I assume you want to keep this a secret from the other teachers. Exactly. You're catching on quickly. The fewer people who know why I'm really there, the better. I understand. Well then, since I do have another investigation to conduct, I won't be able to work full-time, but I'd like to help out when I can. Yes, of course. In that case, I'll appoint you as a part-time instructor. I'll be counting on you. Sure. I get up and shake hands with Saiki. It looks like things are going to get pretty hectic from now on. Yep, this is where the real plot starts. After bidding farewell to Saiki, I take the last train of the night back to my office in Shinjuku. My investigation at Oba Girls Academy will begin on the 8th. I've still got some time left until then. I've got to take care of whatever I can beforehand. First off, tomorrow I need to go ask about the autopsy results. Oizumi mentioned it being in Takanadobaba. An acquaintance of mine is the coroner there. This doesn't bode well. I'm pretty bad at dealing with her. I guess I've got to make it clear that it's just for work. I turn off the lights, wrapping myself in a blanket on the sofa. As darkness gradually claims my senses, old memories resurface in my mind. Memories of my lover, 6 years dead and gone. Oof, that can't be easy to deal with.